All right, here we go. I know what you're thinking, folks. Look at this bird, two beautiful breasts, some wonderful legs. On the back here, we got a string, which is a truss. We're just gonna trim that off, pull it off. That's gone. Next, you wanna do it with the breast side up, okay? In between these two legs here, we got a little excess fat, a little excess skin. Just with the knife, I'm gonna trim away, making sure that I don't touch any of those legs. That wonderful leg meat, keep that all intact, and just trim it so it's nice and clean with that cavity. Good? All right. Next, what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna take these wings and snip right where the wing and the leg meet, okay? Or the little drum there. So the little drum in this wing, and that just comes off nicely. Gotcha? We'll do it again for this side. I'm gonna trim off this little excess there. So you see this little wing there? You have the wing meets the little drum, the mini drum. So I'm just gonna trim it just there, and I'm actually gonna put some pressure so that I can just easily cut between the two bones. Does that make sense? You got it? Good. So once you're done trimming the excess fat and cleaning off those wing bones, we're going to take the bird breast side up, and right where there's a natural line in the center of the breastbone, I'm going to just run my knife right down the center. Okay? How's that? Lovely. And I'm going to run my knife, the tip of my knife, just along the center breastbone. Now, what you're going to find, if you've never done this before, is you're going to find that there's this cartilage, okay? So I'm just going to try to clean it off as best that I can to show you. And all you're doing, folks, when you're trimming or butchering chicken, especially the breast part, you're just running the knife along the bone side, okay? So as the knife is just feeling little individual slits where the bone and the meat are connected, okay? Where the bone and the meat meet, that's basically where you're running your knife along, okay? So as you can see here, I'm just kind of constantly letting my knife do all the work, and I'm just running my fingers to press the meat forward or apart as I'm just letting the knife take the natural line of where the meat and the bone are connected, okay? So we'll keep on this side here, and I'm just kind of constantly running my knife, and pressing and pushing. So I'm pushing on one side the meat away from the bone and the bone away from the meat. All the while, I'm just running my knife right along there, okay? So if this reminds you a little bit of like a science class you had in grade 9, kind of is. The difference is, you know where you're getting your product. You know this is probably the freshest product for you, okay? So as you're separating this, now you've got two separate pieces here, okay? So this is gonna constantly just run my knife all along there. I hope you got it. Now you're left with two open ends of this bird, okay? So what do you gotta do? Well, there's joints, okay? So what you wanna do is you wanna separate the joint from the leg and the carcass, and I'll show you, it might be better here, just like that. So when you hear the little bit of that joint pop, that means you've actually released it. That's exactly what you're looking for, because now you're just gonna take your knife right where that joint and that carcass meet, and you're just gonna cut around, same way you did before. There's a little bit of a loose part, that's all, and you're just gonna keep on releasing it. And eventually, you're gonna be left with just this bone. So now you see here, there's actually that wing bone is being exposed. We're just gonna take that off just as well. So it takes some time, takes some practice, but you end up being left with a couple nice pieces, and we'll bring those back to show you. Otherwise, I'm gonna flip this bird around. As you can see here, from your view now, I'm gonna expose by just keep running my knife through that little bit of that joint. I'm going to expose this bone, okay? That's the wing bone. That's what's gonna separate. That's all we need to do. Is if we put the bird flat with its backside down, I can just run my knife and separate that breast, okay? And now we know that that hip bone has been dislocated, so all we have to do is run our knife right through that little piece there, and we're left with a full half chicken, okay? So there's a almost fully deboned half chicken. I'm gonna expose this to you just like that. So this is something a little bit more recognizable to you when you're buying this in the store. What you do have here is a chicken leg with the bone in, and you have a chicken supreme with the skin and all that wonderful breast meat, okay, and a little bit of that fryer bone, okay, that little wing bone, okay. Now sometimes you can actually trim off this excess fat. It might not be necessary for you. You don't want it. Get rid of that. That is your wonderful chicken supreme, okay. Now what do you do with this? I'll show you in a later show, but that's done. You have this chicken leg. This one here, wonderful when you roast it, amazing even in a soup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a chicken stock, and I'm going to use this chicken leg as the meat inside the soup, okay? And then what you have in the center is the bones, okay? So this is what we've taken off of that chicken. So this here we're going to put into our pot with our chicken legs. We're going to bring this to a boil. We're going to simmer for 4 hours. All of our aromatic vegetables. You're going to have an amazing chicken broth for soups and for stocks and for sauces and for all that wonderful stuff. I'm going to show you how to do that. But again, what you did get originally was a supreme and a leg, okay? Or 2 supremes and 2 legs. So you put those aside and you get them ready for the next application. But before we do that, I'm going to show you how to fully debone a half chicken. Again, just trimming off some of that excess fat for that thigh, for that breast. And then this here, flip it over. And now we have a bone, which is inside of our drum and inside of our thigh, which is still connected by the skin to our chicken, okay? So our chicken breast. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm just going to run my knife gently, and I'm going to separate all that skin and that meat from where this continues, okay? So if it looks a little odd, a little gruesome, you know, let me tell you something, guys. If you enjoy food as much as I do, this is just as much fun as making a beef Wellington or a filet mignon, okay? So here we are. I've separated this bone here from the meat, and I'm going to continue to do so because that's all that's in there. That's all that's attaching itself from the meat. There we go. Just make sure that as you're trimming, you're not getting any excess cartilage in there. You can always trim it out afterwards. You can see if it's there, but just try to get it all out, okay? So that's it. And here, there we go. Now, for the sake of television, it's not my cleanest and finest work, but I'm at home. I don't mind. I enjoy this. Okay, there we go. Take this out of the way. Now what do I have is just all that wonderful meat left. Okay, and I'm just going to check to see if I've gotten all the cartilage and all the bone out. It feels like I have. I got a wonderful piece of thigh, great flavor. Nice piece of breast together. I can serve this as a main course, big main course for the guys. When they come over, I can split it with my girlfriend and so on. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that.